Nurture and support begins in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nurture and Support, a recommendation podcast where we attempt to share all the awesome that we find. You'll have to tell us if we're succeeding or not. But this is episode 105, so we've been doing it for a long time if we've been doing it wrong. I am Mel at Karmic9 on Twitter, and back for another week of mayhem is Kelly.
Hi, everybody. It's Kelly Toole at KELLYTHUL on Twitter, and Mel's been Windows aided or whatever. She's gone through the full Windows 8 experience on a different platform.
Yes, yeah. We had a little trouble getting this recording session set up thanks to technology, but hopefully it's working out okay. We'll see. So, this is a big week. This is a big week in nerddom.
Just a bit.
Yeah? What's the big movie? What's this big mega movie I keep hearing so much about?
I think it's a Disney film. I guess it is, isn't it? There's a new Disney film coming out called Dumbo Meets Star Wars. No, it's the new Star Wars. We will release this on the day that it premieres for us common folk who can go into theater, or some of the cool people can do the previews and all that. But for most of us, the 18th is the first shot we get at it. So episode 7, some of us went through all the excitement of when Star Wars came back the first time in episode 1, and probably most of us were in the theaters wanting desperately to like it. And
we're so disappointed.
Kind of hard. It was kind of hard. Or, I don't have the deep-seated hatred that many do for the prequel ones. They're not my favorites by any stretch of imagination, but I don't get angry when I talk about them. But I wanted more and I expected more, and it just there wasn't something quite right. But boy, every indication is this will be the kind of experience that I wanted. I mean, I think it looks very promising. I'm excited to see it.
We're hoping, and if you're listening to this after you've already seen it and it sucked, please don't laugh at us, because we're living in hope here. We're desperate for some hope. Oh.
Well, that was, I think, and I don't know if I mentioned it here or not, but I have Time Magazine used to always run a big article when Star Wars movies were coming out. Mm-hmm. And so when episode 1 came out, before it was released, they had 2 or 3 pages on it, talking about all sorts of things, a couple of screenshots, and there was this kind of sense in there, and the kids are going to go crazy over this new funny character called Jar Jar Binks.
No.
They only knew. Yeah, so some people could be having a real good laugh at us right now, but hopefully not. So hopefully our hopes are met and we have awesomeness in episode 7.
I have really tried to not get excited about this movie, but despite myself, I've gotten a little bit hopeful. I've really tried not to, but I'm really hoping there's going to be some really awesome Captain Phasma. And so if there's not and you're laughing at me right now, please leave me alone, because I won't see the movie until Sunday. So don't rub it in. But actually, you might be surprised by all of this, but we actually each came to this show not knowing the other was going to talk about Star Wars. So, shocking, I know, because we never talk about Star Wars. But my recommendation this week is a book about Star Wars. If you've been paying attention, you probably know that when Disney decided to take over Star Wars, they threw out the old canon, the old expanded universe information, and they're creating new canon, which I was terribly confused when all of this news came out, because I'm not the biggest expanded universe reader. I really haven't read very much at all in recent years in the EU, but Wikipedia has now separated into what's now going to be considered canon and the old expanded universe stuff. So that's helpful for me. And if any of the rest of you need to look some stuff up, I was excited to see that they had done that, because I was getting confused. But this is the book I'm going to talk about today is called Aftermath, by someone I have recommended in the past, by an author I've recommended in the past, Chuck Wendig. This is the first official new canon book. It takes place right after the Battle of Endor, and it's had very, very, very mixed reviews. Do you know anything about this book yet, Kelly?
I know a little bit about it. I didn't realize that there were most of what I had picked up was on the positive side.
Okay,
So I
good.
didn't know
I'm
that
glad
there
to
were.
hear it. Glad to hear that. It's, a lot of the books of this type of stuff, they're not the greatest books out there. I'm gonna come out front and say I don't even think this is the best book Chuck Wendig has ever written. I'm a big Chuck Wendig fan. He has a particular writing style that's pretty in your face. Um, and that kind of tone doesn't really fit with Star Wars. He had a big job to do with this book. A lot of people have big problems with it just because it's written in first person. So you are getting the story directly from the perspective of the person telling it, and there are quite a few characters in the book. But the basic gist of the story is the point of the journey to the Force Awakens, the series of books that's going to come out, is to fill in the gap between Return of the Jedi and the Force Awakens movie. So it's questionable to see how many of the characters that are in this book series, because there's 3 books in this particular series, and of course this is just the first book. The next 2 books won't come out until next year. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of the characters that were actually in this first book actually show up as older versions in The Force Awakens. I'm curious to see that. But this is a pretty small story that takes place mostly on the planet Akiva. And you may have heard one of the favorite characters that appears in the book is Wedge Antilles. He has not a huge part in the book, but he is kind of an integral part of the reason all of this goes on. He is, the Empire has been staggered, but they're not gone. You don't win this big battle and then have the whole war be over. That was just a battle, and the war is still going on. So they've kind of retreated, and Wedge is on a mission to just kind of explore some places to see what's going on. Turns out there is an Imperial Admiral, Ray Sloan, who's holding a meeting on this little backwater planet to try and rebuild the Empire. So there is an old counselor of the Emperor's who, would really like to be a Sith Lord, but he just doesn't have the power, and a banker, and a couple military people, that sort of thing, that are there, and they're all squabbling over who's going to be in charge and who's going to do what and this, that, and the other. So they're actually have kind of barricaded this planet off. Well, we have another rebel who shows up, and she was a Y-wing fighter, the Battle of Endor, and her name is Nora Wexley, and this is actually her home planet, and she has come home to get her son, who she left several years ago to join the rebellion. And he has since grown up and turned into, I think he's about 16. He's turned into something of a very bratty young man who has very ingeniously built himself a droid, because this is a theme in Star Wars, young bratty boys who build droids. So we're going to have to see how that gets twisted around, because I believe there's a girl with a droid in this movie coming up. But he has really he has a really fun droid. He's called Mr. Bones. And I've seen some hate for Mr. Bones, like Jar Jar level hate for Mr. Bones online. But I thought he was great. So you'll have to read the book to really get a look at the personality of Mr. Bones. But he's a pretty unique little battle droid who does some interesting, fun things. But
So there's kind of the astromech family, there's the protocol droid family, and then there's the soldier droids,
yes,
battle
he's
droids.
A battle droid. He
Droid.
is a
Okay.
repurposed, sort of reprogrammed, modified battle droid. But he's got several different kinds of droids programming in him, so he kind of acts a little strange, which I found endearing. He's a droid, okay? R2-D2 was one of my favorite characters, and he never said anything. So I liked this droid. He was actually one of my favorite things of this book. So we have a couple other characters that are in the main cast. We've got Jas Amari. She's a Zabrak bounty hunter, and she is on the planet looking to bounty hunt some Imperials and make a big payday because she's after one of them, and she goes, "Whoa! There's like 4 or 5 of them here," and she's ka-ching. So she's got to get a little help to do this. And we have one last, possibly my favorite character in the book, Sinjir. And he turns out, he's a drunk. He turns out to have been a former Imperial Loyalty Officer at the Battle of Endor, and he barely escapes that battle, and he has an epiphany that this is not his thing. And so he kind of defects and ends up on this planet in a bar doing his best to stay drunk 24/7. And all of these characters kind of get mixed up in Wedge's mission on this planet. So I don't want to give the plot away, but you do also, that's your main story. But we all want to know what happens to some of our other favorite characters. And so there are little things, because like I said, this series is supposed to bridge the gap between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. So there are some little jarring side note scenes of different places all across the New Republic, the former Empire, introducing other characters who will play a part later, one presumes. We've got a little bit of Akbar in there. There's some interesting scenes about the way the New Republic is going to operate politically, and their plans for the military and how they plan on being different than the Empire was. You have a tiny, 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 tiny little scene with Han Solo and Chewbacca that was not long enough. We, of course, want to know more about them. So it was a teeny tiny little scene. And you've got some hints about what happened to Boba Fett. You've got some little hints of some other stuff going on, which they will hopefully flesh out in later books, or maybe we'll learn something when the movie comes out. They're little tantalizing little scenes. And some of them are introducing, I'm sure, characters who are children in this book, but by the time of The Force Awakens will be adults and maybe will be playing a bigger part in that story. So that will be interesting to see. Now, the reason some of the people, I don't want to say a lot, but there was actually a campaign going on to give this book 1 stars everywhere, 1 star. And that's because, oh my God, there's a gay character in the book. And so some people really got mad that how dared he make a gay person in Star Wars. And seriously, people, I went through this whole book because I knew this going into it. I went this whole book wondering where the gay agenda I had heard about was. And I kept ranting to people around me. I'm halfway through this book and I have not found the gay agenda. All right, folks, I'm just going to tell you right now, in case that is something that kept you from reading this book. I got to the end of the book and I was still wondering where the gay agenda was. There are seriously 4 sentences in the entire book that basically say that person tells you that this person is a homosexual, and that's it. There's no drama, there's no anything, there's no homosexual sex scenes, because this is a Disney story. You know, Disney owns Star Wars now. So, okay. So if that is some controversy that you've heard about this book, and you didn't want to go there, don't worry about it. It is honestly, seriously, nothing. There's nothing to worry about in this book if you're sensitive to that issue. I was really disappointed. I was really wanting some controversy. I was really expecting, with the level of drama that I had seen surrounding this issue in this book, I was expecting there to be, you know, some big diatribe about, you know, equality and all of that. And it wasn't there. They're just people. So.
But the caption of the book underneath the title does say the gay agenda,
The
though,
gay,
right?
the gay Jedi Agenda. I'm going to tell
The
you that
gay
that was the
Jedi
subtitle.
agenda.
Yeah, it's not there, folks. And so,
Huh.
I've gone back and looked at some of the comments on some of the articles, and man, there were people just really, because that's what I had originally seen. Because I had pre-ordered the book because I'm a huge Chuck Wendig fan, but I have a big to be read pile, and I honestly hadn't gotten around to it. And I was like, crap, the movie's coming out. I've got to read this book before the movie comes out. And I enjoyed it. It's a fun caper type book. Lots of action, lots of running around. A fun robot, I thought, and I think people will enjoy it. And there's no drama. I don't know why people had to get all dramatic and upset about stuff because there's no drama.
It
So
seems to be the trend, because
yeah,
there was, and unfortunately, it appeared to die out. But there was, because horror upon horrors, it appears that the lead characters in the new movie, neither of which
uh-huh.
are white males,
Yes,
and so there was a camp of people that were assuming there was an agenda around that, which it's as much as we love the Star Wars universe,
hmm
diversity has not, beyond
right,
species, alien species, there's a lot of
yes,
diversity, but kind of when you got to the humanoids, there wasn't a lot of strong female characters, and
right,
there weren't a lot of non-white characters either.
hmm
So
right.
so
Um,
it's, I
yeah.
don't know why people get worked up about
No,
the
I really
world.
didn't understand it. I seriously went through this entire book just waiting any page I'm going to get this big huge person on a soapbox preaching gay rights, and it didn't happen. So there's no reason. If you've come across all that drama, don't worry about it. Just read the book. It's fun. It's a fun Star Wars book. It could have been a little bit better, but I think he did the best with what he could do because I'm sure he was given instructions on what sort of things needed to be addressed. So I enjoyed it. Like I said, not my favorite Chuck Wendig book because his writing style tends to be really rude and really in your face. And this is not a rude in your face book. It's a fun book with a lot of action, especially the last half of the book is really fun. It takes a while to get the story set up, but once the action starts going, it's a really fun book, and I think everybody will enjoy it. And don't worry about the drama. And there are a lot of strong female characters in this book alone, and a kick-ass droid named Mr. Bones, and a former Imperial Loyalty Officer who might be my favorite person in the book. So
There you go.
I'm hoping he makes it into the movies somewhere, but I kind of doubt it. So that's Aftermath by Chuck Wendig, and it's out now.
Very
There will
cool.
be two more books in the series that come out. I think both of them managed to come out next year, but I think the second book comes out in May, and I want to say I thought the third book comes out at the very end of the year, but I could be wrong about that, and that could also
And
change.
is he doing all? Is he doing all three, or are they
He is
rotated?
he is doing all three of this series. Now there are some other books that are also in this whole journey to the Force Awakens, and I don't know a lot about them. They're written more for kids and young adults, but they're out. They're out there.
Very cool. I thought that the big issue was going to be they introduced paper into it, because the Star Wars universe has been free of paper, and I thought he broke the paper barrier and introduced
Yes.
paper, but sounds like we're still safe there.
No paper.
Thank
People got
goodness.
mad at the droid. Don't know why. I thought he was fun. And not in a Jar Jar type way because I wanted to kill myself after Jar Jar. But no, I thought Mr. Bones was fun. I would love it if
Yeah,
Mr. Bones is in the movies because he would be fun. But we'll see. Chuck won't tell.
that'd be cool if he is.
Yeah.
Although Bones for a droid it throws me a little as far as
He
a
he
nickname,
was
but
decorated with little animal bones to make him more fierce looking. This was a little
oh,
backwater planet. Okay, this wasn't,
okay.
on the inner planets. This was a little backwater planet, and he was decorated with little animal bones hanging from him to make him scarier. Remember, he was built by a 12-year-old boy.
Yes,
So,
very very cool. Excellent. All right. Well, so my recommendation is also Star Wars related. It'll be a lot shorter. It's kind of a little recommendation, but wanted to kind of trot that out along with Mel. So we have a couple Star Wars things on the special Star Wars Day. Uh, there's been a lot. So we mentioned, Disney. Disney now owns the Star Wars property. They're pretty astute in terms of what they look to do digitally, developing different experiences and connectivity. While they've discontinued Star Wars weekends now at the parks because they're more fully integrating Star Wars anyway, they used to do some very cool digital things at the Star Wars weekends to where you could get an app on your phone and basically drop in characters behind the background while you're at the park, and it was just some pretty tremendous things. Very cool. And then I think many of us stumbled upon the opportunity. So you had Disney engaged, and then Disney engaged Google. And Google recently offered us the opportunity, if we wanted to pick a side, that you could pick a side and begin to have your various Google products have elements related to Force Awakens. And you could pick, of course, Jedi or Sith in terms of your choices there. Shockingly enough, both members of this show chose Sith, if I'm correct, Mel, yes?
Yes. I did make sure that I could switch sides later, though, should I need to.
Yeah, I didn't worry about that.
Yeah.
I didn't see the need.
I like to play the middle.
But so you get, if you haven't done that, you should. It's pretty fun. You get lightsaber status bars in your Gmail. You get a very startling lightsaber whoosh when you're in YouTube moving around the slider on the timer, and there's some interesting things there. So it's all kind of fun from there. But they teamed up with Google on that. But they also teamed up with Google on something else that's I believe just recently released, and it's a chance for you to do. It's a Chrome experiment. So you have to utilize the Chrome browser, and you have to utilize Chrome on your phone. Now you don't have to have an Android, but you do have to be using Chrome on both your phone and your computer, your laptop, your desktop, whatever, or your Chromebook, as I found out, and worked really great there. But it's basically lightsaber with Google, and it's an opportunity to synchronize your phone and use your phone as a lightsaber handle and battle stormtroopers. So as they're kind of coming through and you're using you sync up your phone you open up the Chrome browser, you get to the site, it gives you code, you get kind of connected between the phone and the display on your computer, and then it starts to run, and you're kind of working through halls, and you're basically, as you move your phone, it moves the lightsaber. Now a tip for you, should you choose to do this and your computer is at a desk, what you should probably do is slide the chair a little bit further away from the computer than your typical sitting distance, because there's a really good chance, if you're like me, one of the first times you do something with your lightsaber, you're going to about break your phone on your desk. So don't do that. Don't do that. But it's really, Google does a really nice job on some of these Chrome extensions, and so you go to they provide a shortcut. We'll put it in the blog that you can go to. It's actually the website itself is called lightsaber.withgoogle.com, and you come to that page, and if you come to that page on the mobile phone, it gives you a URL you need to enter on your desktop. And if you come to this site on your desktop, it gives you a URL to enter on your mobile phone in the browser, and that's what creates the connectivity from there. And the shortcut version is g.co/lightsaber. So you just kind of jump in there. So you get the laptop and the phone, you get synced up, and then you've got the ability, and it's got pretty good responsiveness. Again, watch that desk, folks. Be careful. But in terms of kind of left to right and movement, I haven't gotten particularly deep in the experience. I've made my way through a couple banks of stormtroopers, and just prior to the show getting started, I was just on the cusp of interacting with and these are the new look stormtroopers, if you will, Force Awakens tie-in. And probably some of you who have seen the trailers may have seen a scene where Finn is fighting a stormtrooper, and the stormtrooper has a, General Grievous Guard-esque pole with purple lasery things on either end. that it seems like really cool looking new kind of weapon, and I was walking up to that guy when I had to kind of step away for some other things. But looks like a pretty good experience. Graphics are nice. Range of motion is pretty good. It's just kind of fun. So it's a nice, cool extension. Again, keep your space. Figure it out. Give yourself room to swing. You know, the Wii rules apply. Just like think about your Nintendo Wii, because you're going to begin to use your phone like a Nintendo Wii controller, and puts it at all the risks that Nintendo Wii controllers go forward with.
Yes, watch those coffee
but it's
cups
really
and
cool.
drinks.
Yeah, so clear the space. They don't really emphasize that enough, in my opinion. they get a lot about how you kind of calibrate and sync up and initiate, but I'm much more used to the Wii reminder when you'd start that up and it says, hey, look around. Is there something you're going to hit? If there's something you're going to hit, that could be bad. Put the strap on your wrist. Now, my phone doesn't have a strap, and I expect most people's don't. So you're going to need to be a little cautious there. But it's a pretty cool experience. It's got a nice tie into the new movie. It's pretty simple to do. Now, what I found interesting is I fought it a lot. I have a Windows 10 desktop system that I went into Chrome, and it's fairly standard issue Chrome. I haven't really done a lot to mod it, and it fought me a lot up there. So I grabbed my Chromebook and brought the browser up, and it worked like a champ. So it seems to work across multiple. It looks like it goes back maybe to Vista on the Windows, definitely 7 and 8. In 10 it works on Windows, works on a Mac, works on iPhones, works on Android phones. So very likely you're not going to run into a platform issue, but you can kind of give it a shot. So it's lightsaberwithgoogle.com. Give it a shot. Swinging around, you're doing a lot of laser gun deflecting early on in the process. Very cool looking. You get and it's also cool because you get sound effects both from your laptop and your phone as you do the experience. So it's just kind of a cool little deployment, and it's just more of the fun that they do with that Chrome browser when they keep trying to do little interesting integrations. So do a little lightsaber work maybe before you catch Force Awakens.
Yep.
Check it out on Lightsaber with Google.
Cool.
Had you seen that one?
No, I hadn't heard of that at all.
Pretty fun, but boy, I'm glad I had a case on my phone. Because the initial contact was a little firm.
Good tips. Yeah, I'm going to have to try that out. That sounds cool. I've been missing my Wii experience. I don't have any Wii. I don't even have the Wii set up.
Yeah, I'm still a fan. It's a fun little platform.
I had one particular game that I'd like to play on it, but I lost that little plastic thingy that holds the sensor up on your TV, and I haven't replaced it. Yeah. I gotta get another one of those.
It would limit your enjoyment a little bit.
Yeah, so gotta get on that. So that's cool. Lots of Star Wars coolness here. I didn't know about that last Google one, so I'm gonna have to check that out because that's fun. I already have the lightsaber app on my phone, the old one from years and years ago that makes the sound effects. So that one will be cool. So unsurprisingly,
this is like the next level of that.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say it's kind of the next level of that. But there are tons of good just general lightsaber apps out there which are always fun too.
Yeah. Well, I don't have any social media ready for any of this because, in fact, right now as we speak, it might be best to stay off social media as more and more people start seeing the movie, so they don't spoil it.
Yeah, that's gonna be. It'll be interesting to see because we've gotten as a entertainment consuming society, we've gotten a lot worse on spoilers. In my opinion, we've gotten a lot worse on spoilers. That now I get if you're live viewing a television show, buyer beware. If you're gonna DVR an episode of The Walking Dead and things that happen, if something big happens, it's gonna be out there. But something like a movie where it's not a shared experience per se,
right.
Sit tight on that. Tell us if you like it or not. Do that kind of stuff. That's great, but don't ruin it. So I'm gonna try and start steering clear on Friday for the most part. You should just come in, download, nurture, and support, and stay off social media. That's what you need to do.
Right. And if we're wrong about the movie,
Yeah, that's our social media recommendation for this week, is to stay off of social media so it doesn't get spoiled for you, and you're going to need something to pass the time. There are 105 episodes of Nurture and Support that you can listen to pass the time until you can get back on social media. Our gift to you.
Right, absolutely. And if you do see the movie, don't be a dick, people. Don't spoil it for other people who haven't seen it or maybe don't get to see it opening night. Because, some of us have things that we have to take care of because sadly we're adults.
There you go.
Oh.
And that's good advice. Other good advice is don't be a Matt. I don't think anyone will want to be a Matt, but we're gonna turn it over to Matt, who's going to fill you in on the many different ways you can catch Nurture and Support, email, Twitter, iTunes, etc. And he'll give you all the particulars there. And we look forward to talking to everybody again next week.
Bye, everybody.
You can contact us on our website, nurtureandsupport.net, or email us at nurtandsupp@gmail.com. That's NURTANDSUPP@gmail.com, or tweet us at nurtandsupp on Twitter. You can also catch Nurture and Support on YouTube. Just search Nurture and Support or Kelly Toole.
Nurturing and supporting Targeted.